What is up, everybody? It's Rev time. Today I want to talk about the idea of using something like a compressor, and in this case it's going to be an optical compressor, in front of an overdrive pedal, because we've had a few people ask about it, and I've just recently done a demo on my channel of this Mira optical compressor, so I thought, why not address it and kind of check into it. Now, in my opinion, I prefer not to use compression into an overdrive. Generally, if I want to use compression, I'm really going after a compressed sound. So it's like a clean tone or a 12 string, something where I want it to actually sound like that's what's going on. I'm less apt to use a compressor kind of as an always on, especially into an overdrive. But I will admit that a lot of the Nashville cats, for a long time, not so much now, but for a long time, we're using the little MXR Dynacomps, and they wouldn't run them with like a ton of compression, but they would just kind of be in like a barely on setting at the front of their pedal boards, and it just kind of stayed on all the time. So it is done, but like I said, I prefer not to, because I want all those transients. I want that all to be there, and if you run a compressor in front, it's going to basically do this. So all those transients and those peaks, high and low, are going to become a little bit more narrow, and to me it sounds less dynamic. But that being said, it is a cool sound, and there's still a lot of guys that really dig it. So I've got this tone kind of dialed up right now. It's just kind of a basic crunch tone from the Tilt. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn on the Mira. Now, the Mira is an optical compressor. So think of it as, think of like LA2As is a really nice studio grade compressor. It's been around for years at Teltronics. That's an optical compressor. These are kind of based on that. I think optical compressors, in my opinion, are a little bit better because you've got a lot more control in general over how it compresses and when and things like that. But yeah, this is an optical style compressor. Now, the way I'm using this, if I just go to my clean sound, I'm not really using it to like compress necessarily. There's my clean sound. Here's what I'm doing with the compressor. If anything, it is kind of smoothing out transients a little bit, but if anything, it's kind of raising the level, which is a cool trick. I mean, back in the day, that's what, a lot, I shouldn't even say back in the day, they still do it now. Audio engineers will turn on something like an LA2A with a very, very light amount of compression, but actually kind of gun the signal a little bit, especially on a guitar. And it sounds really cool. So in this case, that's kind of what I'm doing. Now I can add more ratio. So basically, I don't know, this is probably like 5:1 compression now. And it gets super clean. I don't necessarily want that much compression about right there because I'm hitting an overdrive. So I'll show you. We can go back to that same riff. Now, that's set up the way I just showed you. If I wanted it to compress a little bit more, I could just turn up the ratio. So it's a sound, I don't not like it. I just prefer to have everything really open. But if I needed something to be super record ready and I didn't want to mess around with transients or anything like that, it is a cool, it's a cool effect to have at the front. Now, the other thing you can do with it is keep the ratio down, but actually use it to gun the signal into the overdrive. I can turn up the overall level of the pedal. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to turn up the makeup here. And basically what that's doing is as you create compression, you can make up the gain that's reduced. So if your volume drops too much, you can make that up here. Right now I've got it so it works fine, but if I turn this up, it's going to sound a little bit different. Like I'm going to gun this, and then within this circuit it's going to sound different. So here's without it. Here's with. And maybe for solos. So I'm hitting this harder. I'm definitely getting a little bit more gain or saturation, but it's also very, it's not super dynamic. When I really dig in, I can even see it in the waveform. It's pretty much staying the same all the way across. So yeah, let me know what you guys do. And please, if you dig this content, hit the like button. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel, please consider subscribing because it really helps us out and it helps the algorithm out. But anyways, yeah, let me know if you guys use compressors, how you use compressors. I will say that I'd prefer not to really run a compressor ever after an overdrive, mainly because you really run into hitting the compressor way too hard with your overdrive. Now there's ways around that, but in my opinion, it really, really ties you to the compressor. In other words, if you shut that thing off, the whole world changes. So I prefer, if I'm going to use them at all into an overdrive, or with an overdrive, I'm going to use it to the front end. But yeah, let me know if you guys use them and how you use them. And as always, I really appreciate you guys watching, and see you next time.